The room tilted sideways, and I watched my wine glass slip from my fingers in slow motion. Grant's face across the table blurred into 3 versions of himself, then snapped back to one. My tongue felt thick, heavy, like I'd swallowed cotton soaked in cement. The restaurant noise, the clinking silverware, the soft jazz, the murmur of anniversary couples around us, all of it stretched into a distant echo. Then I felt it. Grant's hand found mine under the white tablecloth. Squeeze. 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 Our signal. The one we made up 20 years ago when his mother wouldn't stop talking at Thanksgiving dinner. 3 squeezes meant pretend. Play along. Don't react. My heart slammed against my ribs, but my body wasn't listening to my brain anymore. I tried to lift my head, tried to speak, but nothing worked. Everything was shutting down like someone was flipping switches in my spine, one by one. Mom? Dad? Brennan's voice cut through the fog. Our son. Our only child. But something in his tone was wrong. Too smooth. Too practiced. Oh no, they're exhausted. They've been working so hard lately. I wanted to scream. We hadn't been working hard. We'd been retired for 3 years. I'll take them home, Brennan announced to someone. The waiter, maybe? Through my half-closed eyelids, I saw concerned faces gathering. This happens sometimes. They forget to eat before taking their medications. Liar. We didn't take medications. Not a single pill between us. Strong arms lifted me from my chair. My head lolled against Brennan's shoulder, and I caught Grant's eyes for just a second. He was limp too, being supported by someone else, but his gaze was sharp. Alert. Terrified. He knew. Whatever was happening, he knew, and that 3-squeeze warning just saved my life because every instinct in my body wanted to fight, to thrash, to scream for help. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family, enjoy the story. The night air hit my face as Brennan carried me through the restaurant doors. Cold. October in Ohio. Our anniversary. 27 years married today. We were supposed to eat overpriced steak and laugh about the time Grant proposed in a Denny's parking lot because he couldn't wait for the fancy restaurant reservation. Instead, my son was loading me into the back seat of his Honda like a bag of garbage. Grant landed beside me with a heavy thump. His hand found mine again in the darkness. 1 squeeze this time. Just 1. It meant I'm here. Brennan climbed into the driver's seat, and I heard the click of the child locks engaging. We were trapped. The engine started. Through my barely open eyes, I tracked the streetlights passing overhead. We were moving. Away from the restaurant. Away from people. Away from help. Then Brennan's voice, casual as if he was ordering coffee. Yeah, it's me. They took it. Meet me at the spot in 20 minutes. My blood turned to ice water. The old quarry off Route 32. No one goes there anymore since the mine closed. He laughed. Actually laughed. Yeah, exactly. We'll make it look like they drove off the road. Old couple, confused, tragic accident. Grant's fingers tightened around mine so hard I thought my bones would crack. The life insurance alone is $500,000, Brennan continued. Plus the house, the pension accounts, all of it. We'll be set, babe. This time tomorrow, we're done playing nice. We were supposed to die tonight. Our son was going to kill us. The car turned right instead of left at the intersection near our neighborhood. I knew because I'd driven this route 10,000 times. Left went home. Right went toward the industrial park. Toward abandoned buildings. Toward places where people disappeared. Brennan hummed along to the radio. Some pop song about summer love. Like he was driving to the beach. Like his parents weren't drugged and helpless in the backseat, listening to him plan their murder. I wanted to believe this was a nightmare. That I'd wake up in our bed with Grant snoring beside me and Brennan still a little boy bringing us breakfast on Mother's Day and Father's Day, the eggs always runny but made with love. But the leather seat was cold against my cheek. The drug pulling at my consciousness was real. And that voice. God, that voice on the phone. It wasn't the voice of the boy who cried when his goldfish died. It was the voice of a stranger wearing my son's face. Grant's thumb moved against my palm. Tiny circles. A question. Are you awake? Can you hear this? I pressed back. Yes. I'm here. I hear everything. We passed under a broken streetlight, and in the sudden darkness, I saw Brennan's eyes in the rearview mirror. Cold. Flat. Watching us with the same expression you'd give a couple of old dogs you were taking to be put down. How did we miss it? How did we not see this coming? But I knew the answer. We didn't want to see it. Because seeing it would mean admitting we'd raised a monster. That somewhere between teaching him to tie his shoes and sending him to college, we'd created something capable of this. The car slowed. Gravel crunched under the tires. Through the window, I glimpsed a chain-link fence with a gap torn in the side. A rusted sign, "Danger, abandoned quarry, no trespassing." This was it. The spot. Where our son planned to throw us away like trash. Brennan put the car in park but left the engine running. He turned around in his seat, and even through my drugged haze, I saw him studying us. Checking. Making sure we were still under. I kept my breathing slow. My face slack. Every muscle screaming to run, but I stayed frozen. Playing dead while I was still alive. "They're out cold," Brennan said into his phone. "Yeah, pull around back. We'll do Dad first. He's heavier." The car door opened with a click that sounded like a gunshot in the silent night. 6 months before that night at the quarry, I was pulling weeds in my garden when Brennan's car rolled into our driveway. A Tuesday afternoon in April. The tulips were just starting to bloom, and I remember thinking how perfect everything was. How lucky we were. I should have known better. Perfect never lasts. Mom. Brennan climbed out with that smile. The one that used to make me forget he'd maxed out his credit card or lost another job. The smile that said, "Trust me, I've got it figured out this time." Surprise visit. Grant came out of the garage wiping motor oil off his hands. He'd been tinkering with the lawn mower again. Retirement had turned him into a fix-it man, and he loved it. No more deadlines. No more engineering projects that kept him up at night. Just our little house in Riverside, Ohio, and enough pension money to live comfortable. Brennan. Grant pulled him into a hug. "What brings you out here? Thought you were busy with that tech startup in Columbus." Something flickered across Brennan's face. Too fast for Grant to catch, but I saw it. Shame maybe? Or anger?
About that. Brennan shoved his hands in his pockets. 28 years old and still standing like a teenager caught smoking behind the school. The startup didn't work out. My partners and I had different visions. I decided to step away. Translation, it failed. Or he got fired. Or it never existed in the first place. But Grant just clapped him on the shoulder. "That's entrepreneurship, son. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before the light bulb. You'll figure it out." I wanted to ask questions. Real ones. Like what happened exactly? Where's the money we lent you? What's your plan now? But Brennan looked so defeated standing there in our driveway, his car packed with boxes, that I swallowed my words. "You can stay in the guest house," I said instead. "Long as you need." The guest house. Grant's retirement project. A converted garage apartment behind our house with its own entrance, kitchenette, bathroom. We'd built it thinking maybe we'd rent it out someday. Or host grandkids when Brennan finally settled down. Brennan's whole face changed. Relief flooding in so fast it was almost desperate. "Really? You'd let me stay?" "Of course," Grant said. "You're our son. Our door's always open." If I could go back to that moment, I'd slam that door in his face. I'd tell him no. Figure it out yourself. You're 28, not 18. But hindsight's a cruel teacher. It shows you every mistake after it's too late to fix them. Brennan moved in that same day. By dinner, he was unpacked and sitting at our kitchen table like he'd never left. Like the past 10 years of failed jobs and broken promises hadn't happened. "This is just temporary," he promised, reaching for seconds of my pot roast. "I've got some irons in the fire. Should have something lined up within a month." A month turned into 2. Then 3. The irons in the fire turned into afternoon naps and late nights on his laptop doing God knows what. But he was helpful around the house. Fixed the leaky faucet in our bathroom. Mowed the lawn without being asked. Drove me to the grocery store when my knee was acting up. "See," Grant said one evening as we watched Brennan trimming the hedges. "He just needed time to reset. Find himself. Find himself. At 28. Living in his parents' backyard. I wanted to believe Grant. I really did. But there was something off. Something I couldn't name. The way Brennan watched us sometimes when he thought we weren't looking. The way he'd ask casual questions about our finances, our health, our daily routines. "Hey Mom, do you and Dad have a will set up?" he asked one morning over coffee. I nearly choked on my toast. "Why would you ask that?" "Just thinking about the future. You guys aren't getting any younger. It's smart to have things in order." He said it so reasonably. Like he was being a responsible son. "I could help you organize everything. Make sure it's all legal and clear." Grant thought it was sweet. Thoughtful even. "That's good thinking, Brennan. We should probably update our documents. Haven't looked at them since your grandma passed. My mother. Who died 3 years ago in a fall down her basement stairs. At 72, alone in her house, found 2 days later by her neighbor. The police said accident. The doctor said stroke probably. She fell because she stroked out. But my mother was healthy. Sharp as a tack. And she just changed her will the month before, adding Brennan as a beneficiary for $20,000. Her way of helping him get his startup off the ground, she'd said. I'd pushed those thoughts away back then. Told myself I was being paranoid. Grief making me suspicious. But sitting there watching Brennan smile into his coffee cup, asking about our will, those thoughts came roaring back. "We'll think about it," I said carefully. Brennan's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Sure, Mom. Whenever you're ready." That night I couldn't sleep. Grant snored beside me, content and trusting, while I stared at the ceiling. Our son was in the guest house 30 feet away. Our son who'd always been charming but never quite successful. Our son who showed up broke every time with a new excuse. Our son who was suddenly very interested in estate planning. I told myself I was being a terrible mother. Suspicious of my own child. But mothers have instincts. We know when something's wrong with our babies even when they're grown. The next morning I saw Brennan coming back from the mailbox with our mail. Not unusual. He'd been collecting it for us as a favor. But this time, I noticed him slip an envelope into his pocket before bringing the rest inside. "Just some junk mail," he said, handing me the stack. "Nothing important." I checked later. Our bank statement was missing. The one that showed our savings account balance. Our pension deposits. Everything. When I asked Brennan about it, he looked confused. "I gave you all the mail, Mom. Maybe it didn't come yet? Maybe I imagined the envelope. Maybe I was losing my mind. Maybe this was what happened when you got older. You started seeing threats everywhere." But when our financial advisor called 2 weeks later asking if we'd authorize someone to inquire about our accounts, I knew I wasn't imagining anything. "A young man called yesterday," Dennis said. "Said he was your son, needed information about your portfolio for estate planning purposes. I told him I couldn't discuss your finances without your direct authorization. Just wanted to confirm with you first." My hands went cold on the phone. "We didn't authorize anything." "That's what I figured." Dennis paused. "Diane, is everything okay?" I looked out the window at the guest house. Brennan's car was gone. He'd said something about a job interview. But now I wondered if there ever were interviews. If anything he told us was true. "Everything's fine," I lied. Because what was I supposed to say? "I think my son is planning something?" Based on what? A missing bank statement and some phone calls? When I told Grant about Dennis's call, he frowned. "That's odd. Why would Brennan do that?" "I don't know. But I don't like it. Let me talk to him." Grant always wanted to talk. To understand. To give the benefit of the doubt. It's what made him a good father. But sometimes doubt is there for a reason. Brennan came home that evening with Chinese takeout and apologies. "I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have called Dennis without asking. I was just trying to help. Wanted to understand your finances so I could give you better advice about organizing everything." He looked so sincere. So genuinely sorry. Grant accepted it immediately. Even I felt my anger softening.
"Just ask us first next time," I said. "I will. I promise." Brennan squeezed my shoulder. "I'm lucky to have parents who trust me. I won't let you down." But 2 days later, I found paperwork in the printer. Brennan had been in our office using our computer. He'd forgotten to collect his print job. It was a power of attorney document. With our names. And his name as the designated agent. Blank signature lines at the bottom. Just waiting. I showed Grant. Finally, even he looked worried. "We need to talk to him about boundaries," Grant said. We never got the chance. That same week, Brennan announced he'd gotten a job. Regional sales manager for a medical supply company. Great pay, benefits, the whole package. I'll be moving out in 2 weeks, he said over dinner. Found a place in Columbus. You guys have been amazing, but it's time I stood on my own feet again. Relief crashed over me like a wave. He was leaving. Whatever I'd been worried about didn't matter anymore. He was leaving. Grant and I celebrated that night after Brennan went to bed. A bottle of wine on the back porch. Talking about reclaiming the guest house. Maybe turning it into Grant's workshop. See? Grant said, kissing my forehead. He just needed time and support. Now he's back on track. I wanted to believe him. So badly. But then Brennan didn't move out in 2 weeks. Or 3. The job started, he said, but the apartment fell through. He was looking for another place. Just needed a little more time. That little more time stretched into 2 more months. And his questions about our finances didn't stop. They got more detailed. More specific. How much is Dad's pension exactly? What's the house worth now? Do you guys have life insurance? Every question felt like fingers probing a wound. Looking for weakness. And then came the phone call from Brennan's ex-girlfriend. A girl named Sarah we'd met twice years ago. I'm sorry to bother you, she said, her voice shaking. But I saw that Brennan moved back in with you, and I needed to warn you. He's dangerous, Mrs. Carter. When we dated, she stopped. Started again. He hurt me. Not physically, but mentally. He would manipulate me, isolate me from friends. He'd talk about money constantly. How his parents had money and wouldn't share it. How unfair it was. How he deserved more. My throat closed up. Did you report this to anyone? I tried. But he's so charming. No one believed me. His friends said I was making it up. Even my own mother said I was overreacting. She was crying now. Please just be careful. I don't know what he wants, but when Brennan wants something, he doesn't stop. He doesn't care who gets hurt. I should have told Grant about that call. Should have showed him the power of attorney papers I'd hidden in my drawer. Should have said we need to get him out now. But I didn't. Because Sarah could have been lying. Because the papers could have been innocent research. Because every piece of evidence was just circumstantial enough to explain away. Because he was our son, and admitting the truth meant admitting we'd failed. That something had gone horribly wrong somewhere in 28 years of parenting. So instead, we kept quiet. Kept watching. Kept pretending everything was normal. Until Brennan suggested we celebrate our anniversary. His treat. A nice dinner at that fancy Italian place downtown. You guys deserve it, he'd said, grinning that familiar grin. 27 years. That's incredible. Let me do this for you. And like fools, we said yes. The Tuesday after Brennan's suggested anniversary dinner, I was cleaning out the hall closet when I found the photo albums. Dusty boxes full of memories. Brennan as a baby, chubby and smiling. Brennan at 5, missing his front teeth. Brennan at 10, holding up a soccer trophy. I sat on the floor going through them, looking for answers in those frozen moments. Trying to find where we went wrong. Was it there in his 7th birthday party when he threw a tantrum because he wanted a bigger cake? Or at 13 when he got caught stealing from the school fundraiser but cried his way out of punishment? Grant found me there an hour later, tears running down my face. Diane. He lowered himself next to me, his knee cracking. What's wrong? I think something's really wrong with Brennan. The words tumbled out finally. I think he's planning something. I think he wants, I couldn't even say it. Wants us dead? Wants our money? Both sounded insane. Grant picked up a photo. Brennan at 18, high school graduation. Full of promise and potential. He's struggling. He's lost. But he's not evil, Diane. He's our son. Sarah called me. Grant's head snapped up. Sarah? When? Last week. She said Brennan is dangerous. That he talked about us having money. About deserving it. I grabbed Grant's hand. And I found papers. Power of attorney documents with our names on them. He's been researching our finances, calling Dennis, asking about the house value. For the first time, I saw doubt creep into Grant's eyes. Real doubt. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to be wrong. My voice broke. I wanted to be a paranoid old woman seeing threats that aren't there. Because the alternative is that our son, our only child, is planning to. I still couldn't say it. Grant pulled me close. We sat there on the floor, surrounded by photos of a little boy who didn't exist anymore. Maybe never existed. Maybe we'd only seen what we wanted to see all along. What do we do? I whispered. We watch him. Carefully. And if anything else happens, anything at all, we ask him to leave. Grant's jaw was tight. I won't let anyone hurt you. Not even him. That night at dinner, Brennan was extra cheerful. Talking about his new job, the clients he was meeting, the commission checks coming soon. I've been thinking, he said, passing the mashed potatoes. That anniversary dinner. Let's make it really special. I already made reservations at Marcello's. That place you guys always wanted to try but said was too expensive. My stomach dropped. Marcello's. The fancy Italian restaurant where entrees started at $60. Where you needed reservations weeks in advance. When did you make these reservations? Grant asked carefully. Oh, about 3 weeks ago. Brennan smiled. Wanted to make sure I got a good table. It's on October 15th, right? Your actual anniversary. 3 weeks ago. Before he'd even mentioned it to us. Before he knew we'd say yes. He'd been planning this. 4 weeks. That's very thoughtful, I managed to say. My food tasted like cardboard. But you don't have to spend that kind of money. I want to, Mom. You guys have done so much for me. It's the least I can do. His eyes were warm. Loving. But underneath, I saw something else now. Something calculating. After dinner, Grant and I whispered in our bedroom with the door locked. 3 weeks ago, Grant repeated. He was so sure we'd agree. We need to cancel. Make an excuse. My heart was racing. Food poisoning. Car trouble. Anything. If we cancel, he'll know we're suspicious. He'll change his plans. Grant paced the small room. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe I'm letting your paranoia infect me. Maybe it's just dinner. You don't believe that? He stopped pacing. No, I don't. But I don't know what I believe anymore. The next morning, I called Dennis back. I need you to do something for me. Don't ask questions. Just do it. Okay, Dennis said slowly. Put a freeze on any changes to our accounts. Password protect everything. If anyone tries to access our information, even with proper identification, you call me first. Understand? Diane, what's going on? Insurance, I lied. Just being careful. 3 days later, our mail carrier knocked on the door. Mrs. Carter? I hate to bother you, but your son asked me yesterday to start delivering your mail to the guest house instead. Said you'd authorized it. But I wanted to check with you first since it seemed odd. My blood ran cold. We did not authorize that. Please keep delivering to our main mailbox like always. That's what I figured. The mail carrier looked uncomfortable. He offered me $20 to do it without asking you. I told him no. Thought you should know. After he left, I stood in the doorway shaking. $20 to intercept our mail. What was Brennan looking for? Bank statements? Medical information? Something he could use? Grant came up behind me. We need a plan. What kind of plan? For dinner. We go. But we're careful. We watch everything. And we have a signal. He squeezed my hand 3 times. If something feels wrong, this means play along. Pretend. Don't react. We used to use it with my mother, remember? I remembered. Thanksgiving dinners when she'd drink too much and start fights. 3 squeezes meant smile and nod until we can escape. You really think we need that? Grant's face was grim. I think Sarah was right. I think our son is planning something. And I think that dinner is when it happens. Then we don't go. If we don't go, he'll try something else. At least at a restaurant, we're in public. There are witnesses. We'll be safe. Grant pulled me close. I won't let anything happen to you. I promise. But promises are just words. And words don't stop poison. The week before the dinner, I started noticing more red flags. Brennan working late in the guest house with the lights on until 3 in the morning. Arguing on the phone in heated whispers. A woman's voice I heard once through the window, though Brennan claimed he wasn't seeing anyone. I walked past his window one night and caught a glimpse of his laptop screen. Website open. Article titled Undetectable Poisons, and another, How Long Does Rohypnol Stay in System? I ran back to the house, my heart trying to punch through my ribs. Grant. I shook him awake. Grant, I saw his computer. He's researching poisons. Grant sat up fast. You're sure? I saw it. Clear as day. We stayed up until dawn talking in circles. Call the police, and say what? Our son is reading articles online? He hasn't actually done anything. We'd look insane. Kick him out, and then we'd never know when he'd strike. At least now we could see him coming. We go to dinner, Grant decided. But we're smart. We order bottled water, sealed. We watch our food. We don't drink anything he touches. And if anything at all, seems wrong, we leave. Immediately. This is crazy, I said. We're planning counter-surveillance against our own son. I know. Grant looked old suddenly. All 61 years showing in his face. I know. October 15th arrived too fast. Our anniversary. 27 years since Grant proposed in that Denny's parking lot because he couldn't wait another minute. 27 years of building a life together. Of raising a son. Of trying to do everything right. And now that son was taking us to dinner, and we were afraid he was going to kill us. I dressed carefully. Put my phone in my purse, charged fully. Told our neighbor Dorothy we'd be at Marcello's. If you don't hear from me by 10, call the police, I said, trying to make it sound like a joke. Dorothy laughed. What, you think Brennan's gonna murder you over pasta? Yes, I thought. But I laughed too. Brennan picked us up at 7. He'd gotten his car detailed. Wore a nice shirt. Cologne that smelled expensive. Everything perfect. Everything planned. You both look great, he said, opening the door for me. Always the gentleman. Always so charming. The restaurant was beautiful. White tablecloths. Soft lighting. A string quartet in the corner. The kind of place Grant and I had dreamed about but never splurged on because we were always saving for Brennan's next disaster. Our waiter brought menus and water. I watched Brennan. He didn't touch the water glasses. Didn't reach for anything on our side of the table. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe this was just dinner. Then Brennan ordered wine. The Brunello, please. Your best bottle. We're celebrating. The waiter left. Brennan smiled at us. 27 years. That's remarkable. What's your secret? Communication, Grant said. And trust. Something flashed across Brennan's face. Anger maybe. Or contempt. Trust. Right. The waiter returned with the wine. Expensive bottle. Fancy label. He showed it to Brennan, who nodded. Started to uncork it. Actually, Brennan said. Could I do it? I've been practicing my wine service. Want to make sure I get it right. The waiter hesitated, then smiled. Of course, sir. He handed the bottle and corkscrew to Brennan. And then he turned to take another table's order. Brennan was alone with the wine. Turned away from us. Just for a second. His shoulders moving. Something small in his hand. Grant's hand found mine under the table. No squeeze yet. Just holding. Brennan turned back, holding the opened bottle. Perfect. He poured 3 glasses. Lifted his. To Mom and Dad. Thank you for everything you've given me. Everything I'm about to receive. The toast hung in the air. Ugly. Wrong. Everything I'm about to receive. But Grant and I lifted our glasses. Smiled. Played along. The wine touched my lips. Sweet. Rich. With something underneath. Something bitter that didn't belong. I swallowed. Because Brennan was watching. Because we had to be sure. Grant drank too. His hand squeezed mine once. A question. Did you taste it? I squeezed back. Yes. Brennan drank deep from his own glass. Except I noticed he barely let it touch his lips. Fake drinking. Like a college kid at a party pretending to keep up. Delicious, Brennan said. Drink up. It's a special night. My head started to spin almost immediately. The room tilted. The string quartet stretched into noise. Too fast. Whatever he'd put in the wine was working too fast. Grant's hand found mine again. This time 3 squeezes. Hard. Desperate. Pretend. Play along. Survive. My glass slipped from my fingers and shattered on the floor. Red wine spreading like blood across the white tablecloth. I saw Brennan's face. Not concerned. Satisfied. This was it. The moment he'd been planning for months. Maybe years. And we were about to find out how far our son was willing to go. The restaurant spun like a carousel going too fast. I tried to grab the table edge, but my hands weren't working right. Everything felt disconnected. Like my brain was sending signals my body couldn't receive. Oh God. Brennan's voice. Loud. Performed. Mom? Dad? Are you okay? Faces appeared above me. The waiter. Other diners. Concerned strangers with blurry features. They haven't been feeling well all week, Brennan was saying. So smooth. Every word practiced. They're exhausted. Working too hard, not taking care of themselves. I told them to rest. Liar, I wanted to scream. But my tongue wouldn't move. The drug had locked my body down tight. Only my mind was still working, trapped inside a prison of flesh that wouldn't respond. Grant slumped forward onto the table. His hand in mine went heavy. But his thumb, I felt his thumb press against my palm once. Twice. He was still awake. Still fighting. This happens sometimes with their medications, Brennan explained to the gathering crowd. They forget to eat first. Then they have wine and it hits them wrong. I'm so sorry. I'll take them home. A woman in a black dress stepped closer. Should we call an ambulance? No, no. Brennan waved her off. They just need to sleep it off. I'm a medical sales rep. I know the signs. They'll be fine once they're home in bed. Medical sales rep. Another lie. Or was it? Maybe that job was real, and he'd learned about drugs there. Learned what to use. How much to give. How to make murder look like an accident. Strong arms lifted me from my chair. Brennan carrying me through the restaurant like I weighed nothing. I wanted to fight. To scream. To make someone understand. But I was completely limp. A ragdoll in my son's arms. Through barely open eyelids, I saw the other diners watching. Sympathetic. Concerned for the old couple who couldn't handle their wine. Nobody suspicious. Nobody questioning. Why would they? A loving son taking care of his sick parents. Nothing strange about that. The night air hit my face when we got outside. Cold October wind. I tried to gulp it down, tried to force my body awake, but the drug was too strong. Or maybe it was my fear keeping me paralyzed. Brennan loaded me into the back seat of his car. I landed hard, my head hitting the window. Pain sparked but distant. Muffled. Then Grant was beside me. Dropped just as roughly. The child locks clicked. That sound, metal sliding into metal, felt like a coffin closing. Brennan climbed into the driver's seat and started the engine. The radio came on. Pop music. Something cheerful about summer nights and first kisses. Background noise for a murder. We pulled out of the parking lot. I tracked the route through my half-closed eyes. Left onto Madison Street. Right onto Highway 32. Away from our neighborhood. Away from home. That's when I heard him make the phone call. Yeah, it's me. Casual. Like calling a friend about weekend plans. They took it. Both of them went down smooth. A pause. Someone responding on the other end. I strained to hear through the blood pounding in my ears. Meet me at the spot in 20 minutes. The old quarry off Route 32. Yeah, that's the one. Mine shut down 5 years ago. No one goes there anymore. My heart stopped. The quarry. I knew that place. We used to drive past it when Brennan was little. A massive hole in the ground, filled with dark water. Fenced off. Dangerous. The kind of place where bodies sank and didn't come back up. We'll stage it tonight, Brennan continued. His voice dropping lower. More excited. Make it look like they got confused driving home from dinner. 2 old people, drunk, went through the guardrail. Tragic accident. By the time anyone finds the car, they'll be, he laughed. Actually laughed. Yeah. Exactly. Grant's hand found mine in the darkness. Squeezed so hard I thought my fingers would break. He was hearing this too. Every word. Every sick detail of how our son planned to dispose of us. The life insurance alone is $500,000, Brennan said. Dad's pension converts to a death benefit. The house is worth at least $350, maybe more. Plus their savings, the investment accounts Dennis wouldn't tell me about. We're looking at close to $1 million total, babe. Babe. He was talking to someone. A girlfriend? Partner? Someone else was in on this. This time tomorrow we're done. We can finally live the life we deserve instead of waiting around for them to die naturally. They're old anyway. What's the difference if it happens now or in 10 years? What's the difference? Like those 10 years meant nothing. Like our lives were just inconvenient obstacles between him and money. I wanted to throw up, but even that reflex was gone. The drug had stolen everything except my ability to hear and understand. To know exactly how my son saw me. Not as a mother. As a bank account with a heartbeat. The car turned onto a rough road. Gravel crunching under the tires. Through the window, I saw the fence. Chain link with a gap torn in the side. Wide enough for a car. The headlights swept across the danger, abandoned quarry, a no trespassing sign. Faded red letters on rusted metal. Beyond it, nothing but darkness and the smell of stagnant water. Brennan put the car in park but left it running. The engine hummed. The radio still playing its happy songs. Everything normal except for the 2 people drugged in the backseat waiting to be murdered by their own child. He turned around in his seat. Studied us with cold eyes. Checking his work like a mechanic looking at an engine repair. I kept my breathing slow and steady. Kept my face slack. Every muscle in my body screaming to move, to fight, to run. But I stayed frozen. Because the drug was wearing off faster than he expected. I could feel it. Sensation creeping back into my fingers. My toes. Just a little. Not enough yet. But soon. Grant's thumb moved against my palm. Tiny circles. He felt it too. His body waking up while our son thought we were still under. They're out cold, Brennan said into his phone. His voice right above us. Close enough that I could smell his cologne. The same cologne we'd bought him for Christmas. Yeah, pull around back by the old access road. We'll do Dad first. He's heavier. Then Mom. The car door opened. Brennan got out. His footsteps crunched on gravel, moving away toward the fence gap. The moment he was gone, Grant's hand gripped mine hard. Can you move? His voice barely a whisper. Slurred, but there. I tried my fingers. They twitched. Little bit. Me too. Drugs not as strong as he thought. Or didn't give us enough. Grant's breathing was harsh. Panicked. When he comes back, we fight. Understand? We fight like hell. Before I could answer, I heard it. Another car engine. Tires on gravel. Headlights swept through our back window, blinding bright for a second before cutting out. She was here. Whoever Brennan had called. His partner in murder. A car door slammed. Footsteps. Then a woman's voice. Young. Maybe mid-20s. Is it done? They're in the car. Completely out. Brennan's voice was proud. Showing off. Told you the Rohypnol would work. One pill crushed into the wine, and they went down in minutes. Rohypnol. The date rape drug. I'd read about it. Seen news stories. Never imagined my own son using it on me. You're sure they can't wake up? The woman sounded nervous now. Maya, babe, I researched this for weeks. That dose will keep them under for at least 6 hours. By the time it wears off, they'll be at the bottom of a quarry. Brennan's footsteps came closer to our car. Now help me. We need to move fast before someone drives by. Maya. His girlfriend had a name. Had a face I'd probably never seen. A person who looked at two strangers and agreed to help murder them for money she hadn't earned. The back door opened. Cold air rushed in. Brennan's hands grabbed Grant's shoulders. Come on, old man. Time for your final swim. He pulled. Grant's body slid toward the door. Still limp. Still playing dead. But I felt the tension in his muscles. The coiled rage waiting for the right moment. Brennan dragged Grant out of the car. Grant's head lolled back. His eyes closed. Perfect performance. Grab his legs, Brennan ordered Maya. I heard shuffling. Grunting. They were carrying Grant toward the fence. Toward the quarry edge. This was it. Now or never. I forced my eyes open wider. Made my fingers curl. The drug was still heavy in my system, making everything slow and clumsy, but I could move. Barely. Maybe enough. The dome light was on from the open door. I could see the front seat. Brennan's phone sitting in the cup holder. The keys still in the ignition. If I could get to the front. If I could lock the doors, grab the phone, call for help. If. I tried to sit up. My body didn't want to cooperate. Everything spinning. But I pushed through it. Grabbed the back of the passenger seat and pulled. Outside, I heard Maya's voice. Jesus, he's heavy. How far to the edge? Just past those rocks. There's a drop-off. 60 feet straight down into deep water. Brennan breathing hard from the effort. Current will pull him under. They'll find the car eventually, but the bodies? Could be weeks. Months. I hauled myself forward. One hand on the headrest. One knee on the seat. Moving like a drunk person. Like someone who'd been poisoned, because that's exactly what I was. Almost to the front seat. Almost to the phone. Then I heard Grant's voice. Loud. Clear. Fully awake. Get your goddamn hands off me. A scream. Maya. Then crashing sounds. Bodies hitting ground. I twisted around to look out the back window. Grant was fighting. Fully conscious. He'd tackled Brennan to the ground, and they were rolling in the gravel. Fists flying. Grant's face was rage and betrayal. 28 years of love turning into pure survival instinct. You son of a bitch. Grant's fist connected with Brennan's face. Blood sprayed. Your own parents. Your own goddamn parents. Brennan blocked the next punch. Younger. Stronger. He shoved Grant off and scrambled to his feet. You were supposed to be asleep. What the hell? Didn't give us enough, you stupid bastard. Grant charged again. Maya stood frozen. Watching. Then she ran to her car. Popped the trunk. I knew what she was getting before I saw it. A weapon. Something to help Brennan finish the job. Grant. I tried to scream but my voice came out weak. Slurred. Grant, she's. Maya came back carrying a tire iron. Long, heavy. Metal gleaming in the moonlight. Brennan. She threw it to him. He caught it mid-air. Turned to Grant with something ugly in his eyes. Not just anger. Pleasure. Like he'd been waiting for an excuse to do this the violent way. Should have stayed down, Dad. Brennan raised the tire iron. Could have died peaceful. Now it's gonna hurt. I screamed. Found my voice finally. A raw sound that tore out of my throat. No. Brennan's head whipped toward the car. Toward me. His eyes widened. She's awake too? That second of distraction was all Grant needed. He lunged. Grabbed Brennan's wrist. They struggled for the tire iron, spinning in a horrible dance on the edge of the quarry. I had to help. Had to do something. But my body still wasn't fully cooperating. I grabbed Brennan's phone from the cup holder. Tried to dial 911. My fingers kept slipping. The numbers blurring. 9-1. Where was the 1? Why were there so many buttons? Outside, Grant and Brennan were locked together. Father and son. Two people who used to play catch in the backyard. Who built a treehouse together when Brennan was 8. Who fixed cars and shared beer and laughed at stupid jokes. Now they were trying to kill each other. Brennan was younger. Stronger. He twisted hard and broke free. Swung the tire iron. It connected with Grant's shoulder with a sound I'll never forget. Bone crunching. Grant went down hard. Crying out in pain. Grant. I finally got my legs working. Fell out of the car onto the gravel. Scraped my knees raw. Started crawling toward them. Brennan stood over his father. Breathing hard. The tire iron raised for another hit. You should have just drunk your wine and died quiet, Brennan said. Now you're making this difficult. Brennan, please. I was begging. Crawling on my hands and knees like an animal. Please don't do this. We're your parents. We love you. We've always loved you. He looked at me. Really looked. And I saw nothing in his eyes. No love. No guilt. No recognition of who we were beyond obstacles to money. That's the problem, Mom. You love me, but you won't give me what I need. What I deserve. So I'm taking it. He turned back to Grant. Any last words, Dad? Grant coughed. Blood on his lips. But he looked Brennan straight in the eye. Yeah. 1. Why? Brennan laughed. Actually laughed. Because you were never going to give it to me while you were alive. Because you'd make me wait until you died naturally. Because I'm tired of being broke while you two sit on almost $1 million. Because I can. He raised the tire iron higher. I tried to get up. Tried to run. Tried to save my husband from our son. Then blue lights exploded across the quarry. Red lights. Sirens screaming. Police cars. 4 of them. Pouring through the gap in the fence like angels coming from heaven. Freeze. Police. Drop the weapon. Officers everywhere. Guns drawn. Flashlights blazing. Brennan stood there like a statue. The tire iron still raised. Caught in the middle of murder. For just a second, I thought he might swing anyway. Might kill Grant right in front of the police just to finish what he started. Then officers tackled him from behind. He went down hard. The tire iron clattering on rocks. Maya tried to run. Made it maybe 10 feet before 2 officers grabbed her. She was screaming. I didn't do anything. I wasn't going to hurt anyone. It was all him. I crawled to Grant. His shoulder was mangled. Bleeding. But he was alive. Breathing. Conscious. You're okay, I sobbed into his chest. You're okay, you're okay, you're okay. You too. He wrapped his good arm around me. Both of us shaking. Both of us destroyed. An officer appeared above us. Young guy. Maybe 30. Mrs. Carter? Mr. Carter? Paramedics are coming. You're safe now. Safe. The word felt foreign. I watched them handcuff Brennan. Read him his rights. He wasn't fighting. Wasn't protesting. Just staring at us with empty eyes. How did you know? I asked the officer. How did you get here? Are you enjoying the story so far? If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us keep bringing you these powerful stories. We read every comment, so let us know what you're thinking right now. Your financial advisor called us 3 weeks ago, the officer explained. Said your son was trying to access your accounts with forged documents. We've been investigating. Tonight we had an officer working undercover as your waiter. He saw your son spike the wine. Alerted the team who'd been tailing you. Dennis. Our financial advisor. He'd saved our lives. The officer looked grim. When your son made that turn toward the quarry instead of your home, we knew. We've been following at a distance. Waiting to see where he'd go. What he'd do. You let him drug us? Grant's voice was angry. Weak but angry. You let him bring us here? We needed proof. Needed to catch him in the act. I know that's hard to hear, but if we'd arrested him at the restaurant, he'd claim the drugs were yours. That you took them yourselves. His lawyer would tear apart any case we built. The officer's voice was kind but firm. This way, there's no doubt. Attempted murder. Conspiracy. He's going away for a long time. Paramedics arrived. Started checking us over. Taking vitals. Loading Grant onto a stretcher for his shoulder. I watched them put Brennan in the back of a police car. Our son. Our only child. The baby I'd carried for 9 months. The toddler who used to fall asleep on my lap. The boy who'd made me Mother's Day cards with crayon flowers. He looked at me through the car window. Our eyes met. And he smiled. Cold. Satisfied. Like even caught, even arrested, he'd gotten some kind of win. Because he'd hurt us. Broken us. Destroyed every good memory we had of him. And maybe that's what he wanted all along. The hospital was too bright. Fluorescent lights beating down like accusations. Grant was in surgery for his shoulder. The tire iron had shattered his collarbone and cracked 2 ribs. I sat in the waiting room wrapped in a blanket someone had given me, still tasting Rohypnol bitterness at the back of my throat. A detective sat across from me. Rodriguez, his badge said. 50-something with kind eyes that had seen too much. He had a notebook. A recorder. Questions that felt like knives. Can you walk me through the evening, Mrs. Carter? Start with when your son picked you up. I told him everything. The wine. The toast. The 3 squeezes. The phone call in the car. Every word Brennan had said about insurance money and getting what he deserved. Rodriguez wrote it all down. Didn't interrupt. Just let me talk until my voice gave out. Did you suspect this might happen? He asked when I finished. Yes. No. I don't know. I pulled the blanket tighter. I suspected something. But not murder. Maybe I thought he'd steal from us. Forge checks. Take out credit cards in our names. Not, I couldn't say it. Not kill us. Your financial advisor, Dennis Morrison, first contacted us on September 23rd. Said your son had attempted to file paperwork making himself your power of attorney. The signatures were forged. Badly, actually. Like he wasn't even trying to hide it. Why didn't Dennis tell us? He did tell you about the phone calls. But we asked him not to mention the power of attorney documents yet. We wanted to see how far your son would go. Rodriguez flipped a page in his notebook. We also found evidence he'd been researching your finances for months. Called your insurance company claiming to be you, Mr. Carter. Got information about your life insurance policy. Death benefits. Payout timelines. My stomach turned. How long was he planning this? Based on his browser history? At least 8 months. Maybe longer. Rodriguez's expression stayed neutral, but I heard the judgment underneath. How did you not see this? How did you let your son get this far? What about the woman? Maya. Maya Brennan. 26. They've been dating for 2 years. She claims she didn't know about the murder plan until tonight. Says he told her they were just going to scare you into signing over assets. Rodriguez's tone made it clear he didn't believe her. Her phone records tell a different story. Text messages between them going back months. Discussing your routines. Your health. How much you were worth. 2 years. Brennan had been with this woman for 2 years, and we'd never met her. Never even knew she existed. What kind of parents were we? There's something else. Rodriguez hesitated. Like he didn't want to tell me but had no choice. We reopened the investigation into your mother's death. Barbara Mitchell. The fall 3 years ago. The waiting room tilted. What? Your mother changed her will 1 month before she died. Added your son as a beneficiary for $20,000. Then fell down her basement stairs. Died of head trauma. Rodriguez watched my face. At the time, it was ruled accidental. But given current circumstances, we're taking another look. You think Brennan killed his grandmother? The words came out strangled. I think it's worth investigating. Your mother was 72 but in good health. No history of falls or balance issues. And those basement stairs, we reviewed the original crime scene photos. The handrail was secure. The lighting was good. It's odd that someone with no mobility problems would suddenly fall there. My mother. Smiling. Baking cookies. Slipping Brennan money whenever he visited because she thought we were too hard on him. Too stingy. He needs help getting started, Diane. You remember how hard it was when you and Grant were young. Had she died helping him? Had her love killed her? He was at her house that day, I whispered. He found the body. Called 911. We thought, my voice broke. We thought he was devastated. He cried at her funeral. Gave a eulogy about how much she meant to him. Rodriguez closed his notebook. Mrs. Carter, I've been doing this job for 26 years. I've seen a lot of bad people. But the ones who scare me most aren't the ones who act evil. They're the ones who can turn it on and off. Who can cry at a funeral for someone they murdered. Who can hug you while planning your death. He leaned forward. Your son is a sociopath. Classic presentation. Charming. Manipulative. Completely lacking empathy. And very, very good at making people believe he's something he's not. We raised him, I said. Needing to say it out loud. We fed him, clothed him, loved him. Where did we go wrong? You didn't. Some people are just born broken. Rodriguez's voice was gentle. You can give them everything. Love, support, guidance, and it doesn't matter. They take and give nothing back. It's not your fault. But it felt like my fault. Every choice I'd made. Every warning sign I'd ignored. Every time I'd excused his behavior or given him another chance. A doctor appeared in the waiting room doorway. Mrs. Carter? Your husband is out of surgery. I stood on shaking legs. Followed the doctor down bright hallways to Grant's room. He looked small in the hospital bed. His shoulder bandaged. His face pale. 51 years old but looking 70. Our anniversary night had aged him decades. Hey, he said when he saw me. Voice rough from anesthesia. Hey. I took his hand. The one that had squeezed mine under the table. The one that had warned me to play dead. The one that had saved my life. We sat there in silence for a long time. No words big enough for what had happened. Finally, Grant spoke. They told me about your mother. I nodded. Couldn't speak. I keep thinking about Christmas, Grant said. Remember? 3 years ago. Last time she was alive. Brennan brought her that bracelet. Silver with her birthstone. She cried she was so happy. I remembered. She'd worn it every day until she died. The police had found it on her wrist when they discovered her body. He probably bought it with her own money, Grant continued. His voice flat. Dead. Probably stole from her purse while she was sleeping. Gave it back to her wrapped in pretty paper and watched her cry with joy. That's what made it unbearable. Not just the evil. The performance of love while planning murder. Detective Rodriguez said he's a sociopath. I know what he is. Grant's grip tightened on my hand. I knew the second I saw his face at the quarry. When he looked at me with that tire iron raised. He wasn't angry. He was excited. Like he'd been waiting his whole life for permission to hurt me. We have to testify, I said. At trial. They'll need us to testify. Grant's jaw clenched. I'll tell them everything. Every lie. Every manipulation. Every time we gave him money or second chances or believed his excuses. I'll make sure he never gets out. A knock on the door. Detective Rodriguez entered. Sorry to interrupt, but I need to inform you of something. Your son made bail. My heart stopped. What? His bail was set at $500,000. Maya's parents posted it an hour ago. He's being released with an ankle monitor and house arrest, but... No. I stood up so fast the chair fell over. No. He tried to kill us. You can't let him out. It's not my call, Mrs. Carter. The judge granted bail. I'm sorry. Rodriguez looked genuinely upset. He's not allowed within 500 feet of either of you. If he violates the restraining order, he goes straight back to jail. But legally, until trial. He'll run, Grant said. Or finish the job. You know he will. We'll have officers monitoring him. The ankle monitor will alert us if he leaves his residence. And we've seized his passport. Rodriguez didn't sound convinced by his own reassurances. After he left, Grant and I stared at each other. We're not safe, I said. No, we're not. That night, I stayed in Grant's hospital room, pulled a chair next to his bed. Neither of us slept. We jumped at every sound in the hallway, every footstep, every door opening, because somewhere out there, our son was free, planning, thinking, figuring out how to finish what he started. And bail or no bail, ankle monitor or no monitor, we both knew the truth. Brennan wasn't done with us yet. The nightmares started the second night home from the hospital. I'd wake up choking, tasting wine, feeling the room spin. Grant would hold me while I shook, both of us knowing sleep was a luxury we couldn't afford anymore. We'd moved into a hotel. Couldn't go back to our house. Not with Brennan in the guest house 30 feet away, even though police said he'd been relocated to Maya's apartment for house arrest. Everything we'd built felt contaminated now. Poisoned. Detective Rodriguez called on day 3. We need to talk about your mother's case. Grant and I sat in the hotel room while Rodriguez spread photos across the cheap desk. Crime scene pictures from 3 years ago. My mother at the bottom of her basement stairs. Her neck at an impossible angle. The medical examiner back then noted bruising on her upper arms. Here and here. Rodriguez pointed. Consistent with someone gripping her. Pushing her. I couldn't look. Couldn't breathe. We also found this in the evidence locker. Your mother's phone records from the day she died. He slid a paper toward us. Brennan called her that morning. Talked for 40 minutes. Then showed up at her house around noon. Neighbor remembers seeing his car. He said she called him, I whispered. Asked him to visit. Said she was lonely. She didn't call him. He called her. Rodriguez's voice was firm. And according to her bank records, she'd withdrawn $20,000 in cash the week before. We never found that money. It wasn't in her house when officers arrived. Grant made a sound like he'd been punched. He took it. After he killed her, he took the money and left her there. We can't prove it yet. But yes, that's what I believe. Rodriguez gathered the photos. There's more. We talked to Brennan's ex-girlfriend, Sarah. She says he told her once that his grandmother was sitting on money she didn't need. Said old people were selfish for not helping the young. Sarah. The girl who'd called to warn me. Who I'd dismissed as dramatic. He planned it, I said. Stating the obvious. Just like he planned us. Got her to change her will, then killed her and made it look like an accident. The DA wants to charge him. But we need your cooperation. You're the closest family. Your testimony about his pattern of behavior, his manipulation, it matters. I thought about my mother. How she'd babied Brennan. Slipped him cash. Made excuses for him when we tried to set boundaries. She'd loved him so much. And he'd murdered her for $20,000. We'll testify, Grant said. Whatever you need. After Rodriguez left, I walked to the hotel window. Looked out at the parking lot. Normal people doing normal things. Getting in cars. Going to work. Living lives where their children didn't try to kill them. I keep thinking about when he was little, I said. Remember the cat? Grant went still. Diane. He was 7. We had that orange tabby. Jasper. And one day Jasper just disappeared. Brennan said he must have run away. My voice was shaking. But I found him a week later. In the woods behind our house. Dead. His neck broken. You never told me that. Because I didn't want to believe it. I told myself it was a coyote. Or a car. Anything except what I knew in my gut. Tears were streaming down my face now. Our 7-year-old son killed our cat. And I covered it up. Made excuses. Because admitting it would mean admitting something was fundamentally wrong with him. Grant came to stand beside me. There was the fire too. At school. Remember? 5th grade. Someone set a trash can on fire in the bathroom. They never found out who. And the neighbor's mailbox. Someone kept smashing it with a bat. The girl in high school who said he threatened her. We believed him when he said she was lying. We stood there listing them. Years of red flags. Years of warnings we'd ignored because he was our son and we loved him and love was supposed to fix everything. Except it couldn't fix this. Love couldn't cure whatever was broken in Brennan's brain. Whatever piece of humanity was missing. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Mrs. Carter? A woman's voice. Young. Scared. This is Maya. Please don't hang up. My hand tightened on the phone. Why are you calling? Because you need to know. Brennan's planning something. He's not done. She was crying. My parents posted his bail because he told them it was all a misunderstanding. That you and Mr. Carter were trying to steal his inheritance. They believed him. Everyone believes him. What's he planning? I don't know exactly. But he's been on his laptop constantly. Making phone calls when he thinks I'm asleep. He told me yesterday that loose ends need to be tied up. That witnesses can't testify if they're not around. Her voice dropped to a whisper. He's going to kill you. Both of you. And he's going to make it look like suicide. Like you couldn't live with the guilt of falsely accusing your own son. The hotel room spun. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm not a murderer. I thought this was about money. About getting what he deserved. I didn't know he was insane. I didn't know about his grandmother. About the cat. About all of it. She was sobbing now. My parents think I'm crazy. The police think I'm trying to save myself. But I'm telling you the truth. Get somewhere safe. Somewhere he can't find you. The line went dead. Grant was staring at me. What did she say? I told him. Every word. We need to leave, Grant said. Not just the hotel. Leave Ohio. Tonight. He'll find us. He always does. Then we make sure he can't. Grant's face was hard. Determined. We disappear. New names. New state. We have enough savings. We can do this. What about the trial? What trial? Grant grabbed my shoulders. Diane, listen to me. He made bail. His lawyer's good. Maya's testimony won't hold up because she's an accomplice trying to save herself. The evidence is circumstantial. There's a real chance he walks. They have the waiter's testimony. The undercover officer who saw him spike our drinks. One officer's word against a defense attorney who'll say we spiked our own drinks for attention. For sympathy. To frame our son. Grant was right. I knew he was right. We can't win this. Not against someone who spent his whole life learning how to lie. A sound outside the hotel room door. Footsteps stopping right outside. We both froze. The footsteps moved on. Just another guest. But my heart was trying to break through my ribs. He knows we're here, I whispered. Somehow he knows. Grant pulled me away from the door. Away from the window. Into the bathroom where there were no sight lines from outside. We leave in 1 hour, he said. Pack only what we need. Cash only. No credit cards he can trace. No phones he can track. This is insane. We're running from our own son. No. Grant's eyes were fierce. We're surviving him. There's a difference. I thought about my mother lying at the bottom of those stairs. About Jasper in the woods with his neck broken. About the tire iron coming down toward Grant's head. Okay, I said. 1 hour. But as we started throwing clothes into bags, my phone buzzed again. Different number this time. A text message. 3 words. I'm coming, Mom. We ran. Left everything. Clothes still in drawers, Grant's medication on the bathroom counter, the hotel room key on the bed. Took the stairs instead of the elevator. Burst into the parking lot like criminals. Grant's hands were shaking so bad he couldn't get the key in the car lock. I grabbed them from him. My fingers weren't much steadier, but I got the door open. Go, 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 Grant said the second I started the engine. I pulled out of the parking lot. No plan. No direction. Just away. In the rearview mirror, I saw him. Brennan. Standing in the hotel entrance. Watching us leave. His ankle monitor visible on his leg. Which meant he'd left Maya's apartment. Violated his house arrest. And he didn't care. He raised his hand. Waved. Like this was a game. He's there, I choked out. Behind us. At the hotel. Grant twisted around. Saw him. Faster. Drive faster. I pressed the gas pedal. Merged onto the highway. Traffic was light. 9 p.m. on a Wednesday. Most people home with their families. Safe. Normal. We weren't normal anymore. We were prey. Call Rodriguez, Grant said. Tell him Brennan violated house arrest. I fumbled for my phone. Hands shaking. Dropped it. Grant picked it up off the floor. Started to dial. Then headlights behind us. Coming up fast. Too fast. A Honda. Brennan's car. Oh God, I said. Oh God, he's following us. The Honda pulled into the left lane. Accelerated. Came alongside us. I could see Brennan through the window. Smiling. Casual. Like we were driving to dinner together. He swerved toward us. I yanked the wheel right. Our car skidded across 2 lanes. Horns blaring. Other cars braking. We barely missed a semi-truck. What is he doing? Grant yelled. Brennan accelerated ahead of us. Then slammed on his brakes. I swerved again. Went onto the shoulder. Gravel spraying. The car fishtailing. Somehow I kept control. Got back on the road. He's trying to cause an accident, Grant said. Make it look like we crashed. Like we were unstable. Suicidal. The Honda was behind us again. Ramming our bumper. Metal crunching. Our car lurching forward. I pressed the gas harder. 70. 80. 90 miles per hour. But Brennan matched our speed. Rammed us again. Exit. Grant pointed. Take the next exit. I cut across 3 lanes. Nearly clipped a minivan. Made the exit at the last second. Brennan overshot it. I watched him in the mirror, his brake lights flaring as he tried to reverse on the highway. We had maybe 30 seconds. I took the exit ramp too fast. Tires squealing. Grant bracing against the dashboard. Down the ramp. Right at the light. Into a neighborhood. Street after street of identical houses. There, Grant said. Pointing at a church. Dark. Parking lot empty except for a few cars. Pull around back. I turned in. Drove behind the building. Parked between 2 vans where our car couldn't be seen from the street. Killed the lights. Killed the engine. Sat there in darkness, both of us panting like we'd run a marathon. Is he? I started. Headlights swept past the church entrance. The Honda. Cruising slowly. Searching. We ducked down. Pressed against the seats. Held our breath. The headlights moved on. Kept going. disappeared around a corner. Did he see us? I whispered. I don't know. We stayed down for 5 minutes. 10. Listening. Every car that passed could be him circling back. Every engine sound a threat. Finally, Grant sat up. We need to call the police. Right now. I handed him my phone. He dialed Rodriguez's number. Put it on speaker. Rodriguez. The detective sounded tired. He's trying to kill us, Grant said. No preamble. Brennan. He's off house arrest. He followed us. Tried to run us off the highway. We're hiding in a church parking lot. Where exactly? Grant looked around. Tried to read the church sign in the darkness. St. Mary's. Off exit 47 on Route 32. Stay there. Lock your doors. Don't move. I'm sending units now. Rodriguez was already moving. We could hear him running, shouting orders. Stay on the line with me. We sat there. Grant holding the phone. Me watching the darkness for headlights. For movement. For Brennan. How did he know where we were? I said. We didn't tell anyone about the hotel. Grant's face went pale. The credit card. I used our credit card to pay for the room. But he shouldn't have access. He's had months to set up monitoring. To hack our accounts. To do God knows what. Grant slammed his fist against the dashboard. We were so stupid. We were trusting, I said. There's a difference. Trusting got us here. Hiding in a church parking lot. Running from our own son. Sirens in the distance. Getting closer. That's us, Rodriguez said through the phone. The cavalry's arriving. Just sit tight. 2 police cars pulled into the church parking lot. Lights flashing. Officers got out. Rodriguez was in the second car. He came straight to our window. I unlocked the door with shaking hands. You're safe now, he said. We've got units searching for Brennan's vehicle. We'll find him. He violated house arrest, Grant said. You can arrest him now, right? Put him back in jail. Absolutely. The second we find him. Rodriguez looked at our car's rear bumper. Dented. Paint scraped. He did this. Twice, I said. Rammed us twice. Tried to run us off the road. Other drivers saw it. There's witnesses. Rodriguez was already on his radio. Calling it in. Attempted vehicular assault. Fleeing the scene. Every cop in the county would be looking now. But I knew Brennan. Knew how smart he was. How careful. He'd ditch the Honda. Steal another car. Change his appearance. He'd done his homework on how to disappear. We need protective custody, Grant said. A safe house. Something. I'll arrange it tonight. Rodriguez gestured to the other officers. These guys will take you somewhere secure. Different location from where you've been. No paper trail. Cash payment. I'll be the only one who knows where. They put us in the back of a police car. Drove us 40 minutes to a motel off a state route. The kind of place that rents by the hour and doesn't ask questions. Not fancy but safe. Anonymous. Rodriguez paid cash. Walked us to room 23. Made sure the locks worked. The windows were secure. Get some sleep if you can, he said. I'll have a unit posted outside all night. And tomorrow we'll figure out next steps. After he left, Grant and I stared at the dingy room. Floral bedspread that had seen better decades. Carpet that made me not want to take off my shoes. But it had locks. 4 of them. We pushed the dresser in front of the door. Just in case. This is our life now, I said. Sitting on the edge of the bed. Too exhausted to cry. Hiding in terrible motels. Looking over our shoulders. Waiting for him to find us. Grant sat beside me. Pulled me close. Not forever. Just until the trial. Once he's convicted, once he's in prison, we can start over. If he's convicted. He will be. Too much evidence. Too many witnesses. But I'd heard the doubt in Rodriguez's voice. Seen it in his eyes. This wasn't a slam dunk. It was a gamble. And if we lost, Brennan walked free with a grudge and a plan. My phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. Mom, this is getting ridiculous. Can we just talk like adults? I know you're scared, but I would never actually hurt you. It was all a big misunderstanding. Call me, please. I love you. I showed Grant. He read it and threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall. Didn't break but left a dent in the plaster. He thinks we're stupid, Grant said. After everything. After the quarry and the tire iron and the highway. He thinks we'll fall for let's talk like adults. Because we always did before. I picked up the phone. Screen cracked now but still working. Every time. Every lie. Every excuse. We believed him because we wanted to believe him. Not anymore, Grant said. Voice hard as stone. Not ever again. We tried to sleep. Both of us in our clothes. On top of the covers. Ready to run if we had to. But every sound was Brennan. Every car in the parking lot. Every door closing in another room. Every creak of the building settling. Around 3 a.m., I heard it. Footsteps outside our door. Slow. Deliberate. Someone trying to be quiet. I grabbed Grant's arm. He was already awake. Already listening. The footsteps stopped right outside our room. A shadow under the door. Someone standing there. Grant picked up the lamp. Only weapon we had. Positioned himself between me and the door. A knock. Soft. Almost gentle. Mom? Dad? I know you're in there. Just let me explain. Brennan's voice. Right outside. 10 feet away. The police are right outside, Grant said loudly. They'll arrest you. No, they're not. They left an hour ago. Budget cuts, you know? Can't afford overnight protection for every paranoid old couple. Brennan's voice was cheerful. Amused. It's just us now. Family. I looked at the window. Second floor. Too high to jump without breaking something. I'm not here to hurt you, Brennan continued. Just want to talk. Clear the air. You're my parents. I love you. Why can't you see that? You tried to kill us, I said. My voice shaking but steady. You drugged us. You were going to throw us in a quarry. That was Maya's idea. She's crazy. I never wanted that. I was trying to protect you from her. The lies came so smooth. So practiced. Please. Just open the door. Let me explain everything. Grant's hand tightened on the lamp. Call Rodriguez, he whispered to me. I grabbed my phone. But the screen was dark. Dead battery. I'd forgotten to charge it. I hear you in there, Brennan said. I know you're scared. But Mom, remember when I was little and had nightmares? You'd always tell me nothing could hurt me as long as we were together. Remember? I did remember. Sitting on the edge of his bed at 3 a.m. Rubbing his back while he cried about monsters in his closet. Promising him he was safe. That I'd never let anything hurt him. Now he was the monster. And I couldn't protect anyone. We're not opening the door, Grant said. Leave now or we start screaming. Wake up the whole motel. Silence. Long enough that I thought maybe he'd left. Then, okay. I understand. You need time. But Mom, Dad, you should know. I found your financial advisor's home address. Dennis Morrison. Nice guy. Helpful. Lives alone. Easy target. My blood turned to ice. What did you do? I said. Nothing yet. But if you keep refusing to be reasonable, if you insist on testifying against me, well, accidents happen. Dennis could have an accident. Just like Grandma did. Brennan's voice was casual. Like discussing the weather. Or maybe Dorothy. Your neighbor. Sweet old lady. Be a shame if something happened to her. You bastard, Grant said. Or maybe I just burned down your house. Everything you own. Every memory. Every photo of the good times before you decided to betray me. Footsteps moving away. Think about it. We can work this out. Or I can take away everything you love. Your choice. The footsteps faded. A car engine started. Drove away. We stood there frozen. Both of us barely breathing. He's threatening everyone we know, I whispered. He's bluffing. Is he? After everything. I looked at Grant. Really looked. Saw how broken we both were. How defeated. He wins. Don't you see? Even if he goes to prison, he wins. Because we'll spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders. Wondering if today's the day he gets out. Wondering if he's coming for us. Grant pulled me close. Then we make sure he never gets out. We testify. We tell the truth. We make the jury see what he is. And if they don't believe us? Grant didn't answer. Because we both knew. If Brennan walked free, we were dead. Maybe not tomorrow or next month. But eventually. He'd never stop hunting us. Morning came gray and cold. We hadn't slept. Just sat against the headboard watching the door until sunrise. Rodriguez arrived at 7 with coffee and news. We found Brennan's car. Abandoned near the county line. He's in the wind. Rodriguez looked as tired as we felt. But we've got airports, bus stations, all monitored. He can't get far with an ankle monitor. He cut it off, I said. Didn't he? Rodriguez's silence was answer enough. What about Dennis? Grant asked. Our financial advisor. Brennan threatened him last night. I'll send a unit to check on him. And we'll increase patrols around your old neighborhood. Rodriguez sat in the room's only chair. But I need to be straight with you. We don't have the manpower to protect everyone Brennan might threaten. You have friends? Family? They should be warned. We didn't have much family left. My mother was dead, killed by the same person threatening us now. Grant's brother lived in Arizona. A few friends from church. Dorothy next door. All of them potential targets because they knew us. Because Brennan could use them to hurt us. We're endangering everyone we love just by existing, I said. That's his strategy, Rodriguez said. Isolate you. Make you feel helpless. It's psychological warfare. Classic sociopath playbook. It's working. Rodriguez leaned forward. Listen to me. Both of you. You're scheduled to testify in 4 days. Preliminary hearing. If we can get enough evidence presented, the judge will deny bail and Brennan goes back to jail. He stays there until trial. And if the judge doesn't deny bail? Grant asked. Then we're in a holding pattern until the actual trial starts. 3, maybe 4 months out. Rodriguez looked grim. But with you two as witnesses, with Maya's testimony, with the waiter's account, we've got a strong case. Brennan knows it. That's why he's desperate. Desperate people do desperate things, I said. Which is why we're moving you again. Today. New location. Full protective detail. Rodriguez stood. Pack up. You leave in 20 minutes. The new safe house was actually safe. A cabin 2 hours north, deep in the woods. State police property used for witness protection. Solar panels. Well water. No address. No paper trail. 2 officers stayed with us. Young guys who rotated 12-hour shifts. They were polite. Professional. Bored out of their minds. We were prisoners. Protected but trapped. Grant's shoulder was healing but still hurt. He couldn't lift his left arm above his head. Couldn't sleep on that side. Every movement reminded us of what Brennan had done. What he'd tried to do. The days blurred together. We played cards with the officers. Watched news on a TV with rabbit ears. Avoided talking about the hearing coming up. Night 3 at the cabin, I dreamed about Brennan as a baby. Perfect. Unmarked. Smiling up at me with pure love. I woke up crying, and Grant held me while I sobbed for the child we'd lost. Or maybe never had. Maybe the monster was always there, and we'd just been too blind to see it. I wonder if it's genetic, I said into the darkness. If there's something in my DNA or yours that broke him. Don't, Grant said. Don't do that to yourself. But what if we have it too? What if I'm capable of the same things and just never knew? You're not. We're not. Grant's voice was firm. Evil isn't genetic. It's a choice. Brennan chose this. Every step. Every lie. Every murder he planned. Those were his choices. I wanted to believe him. But in the dead of night, in a cabin in the woods hiding from my own son, belief felt like a luxury I couldn't afford. The morning of the hearing, Rodriguez arrived early. There's been a development. My stomach dropped. What kind of development? Maya's dead. Found in her apartment last night. Apparent suicide. Pills and alcohol. The room spun. That's not suicide. I know. But it's staged well. She left a note confessing that she lied about Brennan. That she made up the murder plot to frame him because he was breaking up with her. Rodriguez looked sick. It's bullshit. But her parents believe it. And now our star witness is gone. He killed her, Grant said. Another one. We can't prove it. Yet. But yes, I believe Brennan killed her and made it look like suicide. Rodriguez paced the small cabin. This changes things. The waiter's testimony is still solid. And yours. But we've lost ground. So he's winning, I said. Voice flat. He's killing everyone who could testify against him, and he's winning. He hasn't won yet. Rodriguez stopped pacing. Looked at us both. But I need to know you two are solid. That you'll testify no matter what. Because you're all we have left. Grant reached for my hand. Squeezed 3 times. Our signal. Play along. Survive. We'll testify, he said. The courthouse was a fortress. Metal detectors. Armed guards. Rodriguez walked us through a back entrance, avoiding the press camped out front. Apparently our story had made news. Prodigal son tries to murder parents for inheritance. Headlines designed to sell papers, not tell truth. We sat in a witness room. Windowless. Airless. Waiting to be called. Through the door, I could hear the courtroom. The judge's voice. Lawyers arguing. And then another voice. Smooth. Confident. Lying. Brennan. On the stand. Playing the victim. My parents have always been unstable, he was saying. Paranoid. They accused me of stealing from them for years. None of it true. This is just an extension of their delusions. I wanted to scream. To burst through that door and tell everyone what he really was. But Rodriguez held up a hand. Your turn's coming. Stay calm. My name was called. Grant squeezed my hand one more time. Then I walked through that door into the courtroom. Brennan sat at the defense table. Clean suit. Hair cut. Looking like a young professional. Looking nothing like the monster who'd rammed our car and threatened to burn down our house. He smiled when he saw me. Small. Sad. Like I was hurting him just by existing. The prosecutor, a woman named Helen Garcia, guided me through my testimony. The dinner. The wine. The 3-squeeze signal. The phone call in the car. The quarry. Every detail clear and precise. Brennan's lawyer, expensive suit, slicked back hair, stood for cross-examination. Mrs. Carter, isn't it true you've been in therapy for anxiety? Yes, I said. Where was he going with this? And isn't it true you've taken anti-anxiety medication for over a decade? Yes, but... And isn't it possible that your 3-squeeze signal was actually just your husband trying to calm you down during a panic attack? No. That's not. Isn't it possible you hallucinated the phone call? That in your anxious state, you misheard a conversation about something else entirely. I didn't hallucinate anything, I said. Voice rising. My son tried to kill us. Or did your son try to help you after you overmedicated and drank wine on an empty stomach? The lawyer was smooth. Practiced. Did you perhaps stage this entire narrative because you're embarrassed about your mental health struggles? I looked at the jury. 12 faces. Some sympathetic. Some skeptical. Some already convinced I was a crazy old woman making up stories. Brennan's lawyer smiled. No further questions. I stumbled back to the witness room. Grant went next. They tore him apart the same way. Pointed out his pain medication for his shoulder. Suggested he was addicted. That we were both unreliable narrators of our own lives. When it was over, Rodriguez found us in the hallway. The judge is deliberating, he said. Could go either way. We waited. An hour. Then 2. The courthouse was closing for the day. Still no decision. Finally, a bailiff appeared. Judge wants everyone back in the courtroom. We filed in. Brennan at his table. Us on the opposite side. The judge looking tired and annoyed. I've reviewed all testimony, she said. While the allegations are serious, I find insufficient evidence at this time to deny bail. The defendant's ankle monitor will be replaced. He will remain under house arrest pending trial. Bail stands. The courtroom erupted. Rodriguez arguing. Helen Garcia objecting. But the gavel came down. Brennan was staying free. He turned in his seat. Looked straight at me. Smiled. Mouthed 2 words. See you soon. We left Ohio that night. Rodriguez drove us himself to the Pennsylvania border, handed us an envelope of cash, and said words I'll never forget. I've done everything I can within the law. What happens now is between you and God. Translation: you're on your own. We bought a used car with cash in Pittsburgh. No paperwork. No trail. The seller didn't ask questions when Grant handed him $3,000 in 20s. Where do we go? I asked as we drove east. No plan. No destination. Just moving. Somewhere he'd never look, Grant said. Somewhere we've never mentioned. Somewhere we have no connection to. We ended up in a tiny town in Maine. Population 800. The kind of place where strangers stand out but people mind their own business if you keep your head down. We rented a cottage on the coast with cash. 6 months up front. The landlord, a weathered woman named Ruth, took our money and handed us keys without asking our names. Running from something, she said. Not a question. Yes, I answered. No point lying. Lots of folks come here running. Long as you're quiet and pay on time, your business is your business. Ruth lit a cigarette. But whatever you're running from, it usually finds you eventually. Just so you know. We settled into our new life. Grant grew a beard. I cut my hair short and dyed it brown. We used fake names. Paid for everything in cash. No phones. No internet. No social media. We disappeared. Days turned into weeks. October became November. Cold wind off the Atlantic. Gray skies that matched our mood. We didn't talk about Brennan. Didn't talk about the trial coming up. Didn't talk about anything that mattered. Just existed. Survived. Waited. But you can't run from your own mind. I started noticing things. The way Grant would stare out the window for hours. How he'd jump at sudden noises. How he'd check the locks on our door 5, 6, 7 times before bed. We're not living, I said one morning over coffee. We're just slowly dying in a different location. Grant didn't argue. Just kept staring at the ocean. I've been thinking about your mother, he said finally. About how Brennan called her that morning. Talked to her for 40 minutes. You know what I think they talked about? I didn't want to know. But he continued anyway. I think he told her he loved her. That he was grateful. That she was the best grandmother anyone could ask for. Grant's voice was hollow. I think he made her happy in her final minutes. Gave her joy. And then he pushed her down those stairs and took her money. Why are you telling me this? Because I realized something. The cruelty isn't just in the killing. It's in the betrayal. In using love as a weapon. Grant finally looked at me. That's what breaks us. Not the fear. The betrayal. He was right. We could survive being hunted. But we couldn't survive knowing our love had been that worthless. That expendable. Detective Rodriguez called the landlord, Ruth said one afternoon when she stopped by to fix a leaky faucet. Said there's a trial date set. January 15th. Said you need to be there to testify. My hands went numb. You told him where we were? Didn't tell him anything. But he knew. Cops always know. Ruth looked at me with something like pity. You can't hide forever. Eventually you have to face it. That night, Grant and I walked the beach. Freezing wind. Empty sand. Just us and the waves. We go back, Grant said. We testify. We watch him get convicted and locked away. Then we come back here and figure out how to live again. And if he's not convicted? Grant picked up a rock. Threw it into the ocean. Then we disappear for real. Fake passports. Different country. New identities. Whatever it takes. That's not living either. No. But it's survival. And right now that's all we can manage. December brought snow. We celebrated Christmas alone in the cottage. No tree. No presents. Just another day of waiting. Rodriguez called from a payphone. Left a message with Ruth. Maya's death has been ruled homicide. Fingerprints found. Brennan's fingerprints. He's been arrested. Bail revoked. He's in custody. We should have felt relief. Victory. But all I felt was tired. It's over, Grant said when Ruth delivered the message. But it wasn't. Because even with Brennan in jail, even with him locked up, I felt him everywhere. In every shadow. Every footstep on the porch. Every car that drove past our cottage. He's got friends, I said. Maya had parents who believed him. Who posted his bail. What if there are others? What if he's convinced someone else to finish what he started? Grant didn't argue because he'd been thinking the same thing. I could see it in the way he positioned himself between me and the door. The way he'd started sleeping with a kitchen knife under his pillow. New Year's came and went. We didn't celebrate. Just watched the ocean and counted down days until January 15th. Rodriguez called again in early January. This time we answered. The DA's offering a plea deal, he said. 25 years. Attempted murder. Manslaughter in your mother's case. Brennan would have to allocate. Admit everything. No, I said immediately. He goes to trial. A jury convicts him. He gets life. Diane, a plea deal is guaranteed. A trial is a gamble. His lawyer's good. Really good. There's a chance, Rodriguez paused. There's a chance he walks. I looked at Grant. Saw my own fear reflected back. What does Brennan say about the deal? Grant asked. He's considering it. But he wants something in exchange. My blood went cold. What? He wants to see you. Both of you. Face to face. Says he'll take the deal if you agree to visit him in jail. One conversation. That's all. Absolutely not, Grant said. I told the DA you'd say that. But she wanted me to ask. She thinks if you agree, we lock him away for 25 years guaranteed. If you refuse, we go to trial and risk everything. After Rodriguez hung up, Grant and I sat in silence for a long time. It's a trap, he finally said. Some kind of manipulation. Of course it is. Everything with him is manipulation. I stood up. Paced the small cottage. But 25 years. He'd be 53 when he got out. Maybe we'd be dead by then. Maybe we'd finally get to live without looking over our shoulders. Or maybe we walk into that jail and he has one final trick. One last way to hurt us. I thought about my mother's face. About the cat in the woods. About Grant's broken shoulder and the tire iron raised above his head. About Maya dead in her apartment, another victim of Brennan's charm. I want to look him in the eyes, I said. I want him to know we're not afraid anymore. That he failed. But we are afraid. Then we pretend. Like we did at the quarry. 3 squeezes. We play along one more time. I sat back down next to Grant. Took his hand. We go. We listen to whatever he wants to say. Then we walk out and he goes to prison for 25 years. And we finally get to start over. Grant studied my face for a long moment. Then he squeezed my hand 3 times. Play along. Survive. Okay, he said. We go. We drove back to Ohio on January 10th. 5 days before the trial was supposed to start. Rodriguez met us at the county jail. Walked us through security. Metal detectors. Pat-downs. Guards everywhere. He's in an interview room, Rodriguez said. You'll be separated by glass. He can't touch you. Can't hurt you. But Diane Grant, be ready. Whatever he says, it's designed to hurt you. That's all he has left. The interview room was small. Fluorescent lights. Gray walls. A table bolted to the floor. And on the other side of reinforced glass, Brennan. He'd lost weight. Jail jumpsuit hanging loose on his frame. But his eyes were the same. Cold. Calculating. Hungry. Mom. Dad. He smiled. Like we were visiting for Sunday dinner. You came. Say what you need to say, Grant said. Voice hard. Then we're done. I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry. Brennan leaned forward. Sincere expression perfectly crafted. For everything. For the pain I caused. For the fear. I was sick. Desperate. I made terrible choices. I said nothing. Waited for the real reason we were here. But I also wanted you to understand something. His smile widened. I win either way. You're going to prison, I said. For 25 years. That's not winning. Isn't it? Brennan tilted his head. 25 years. I'll be 53 when I get out. Still young enough to start over. But you too? How old will you be? Late 70s? Early 80s? If you're even still alive. Grant's hand found mine under the table. Squeezed once. Stay calm. And here's the beautiful part, Brennan continued. Every single day for the next 25 years, you'll wake up knowing I'm coming. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not for decades. But eventually, I get out. And then I find you. You'll be on parole, Rodriguez said from behind us. Monitored. One wrong move and you go back. Sure. But accidents happen. People die. Natural causes. Heart attacks. Falls downstairs. Brennan's eyes were on me. Just like Grandma. I felt sick. He was right. Even in prison, he'd won. Because we'd spend the rest of our lives waiting for him. Counting down to the day he walked free. Unless, Brennan said slowly, we make a different arrangement. What arrangement? Grant asked. You drop the charges. Tell the DA you were mistaken. That it was all a misunderstanding. I walk away. And in exchange, I disappear. You never hear from me again. I move across the country. Change my name. We all get to move on. You killed my mother, I said. Voice shaking. You tried to kill us. You murdered Maya. And you think we'll just let you walk away? I think you want peace more than revenge. Brennan leaned back. Prison makes me angrier. More dangerous. Gives me 25 years to plan. But if you let me go, I'm done. I get to start fresh somewhere new. And you get to live without fear. Everyone wins. He's lying, Rodriguez said. The second he's free, he'll come after you. Maybe, Brennan said. Or maybe I'm telling the truth. You'll never know unless you try. Grant stood up. We're done here. Take your plea deal. Spend your 25 years. And when you get out, if you come looking for us, you'll find out what real consequences feel like. Brave words from a man with a broken shoulder. Brennan's mask slipped. Just for a second. Pure rage underneath. You think you're better than me? You made me. Every weakness, every flaw, every broken piece, that's your legacy. You failed as parents, And now you get to spend the rest of your pathetic lives knowing it. I wanted to scream. To tell him he was wrong. That we'd tried. That we'd loved him. That none of this was our fault. But deep down, in the place where truth lives, I wondered if he was right. We walked out of that interview room. Brennan was still talking, still manipulating, but we didn't hear it anymore. Rodriguez led us back through security. Back to the parking lot. Back to our temporary car and our temporary life. He took the plea deal, Rodriguez said. 25 years. It's done. It's not done, I said. It'll never be done. Rodriguez didn't argue. Just handed us paperwork. Witness protection program. New identities. Federal assistance with relocation. Everything we needed to disappear for real. Think about it, he said. You've got options. That night, Grant and I sat in a cheap motel room and made a choice. We could take the new identities. Disappear into witness protection. Spend the rest of our lives hiding. Or we could try to actually live. I'm tired of running, Grant said. I'm tired of letting him win. So what do? We go back to Maine. We build a real life there. We make friends. We find purpose. We stop letting fear control everything. Grant took my hand. And if he comes for us in 25 years, we'll deal with it then. But I won't spend the next quarter century just waiting to die. It sounded simple. Brave even. But I knew the truth. We'd never stop looking over our shoulders. Never stop flinching at unexpected sounds. Never stop wondering if today was the day. But maybe that was okay. Maybe survival didn't mean living without fear. Maybe it meant living despite it. Okay, I said. Maine. Real life. Despite everything. Grant squeezed my hand 3 times. But this time it didn't mean play along. It meant something new. I'm here. You're here. We survived. We went back to Maine in late January. The cottage Ruth had rented us was still available. She'd kept it off the market somehow, like she knew we'd return. Heard your boy got locked up, she said when we arrived. Not tactful, but honest. Good riddance. We settled back in. But this time, we actually unpacked. Hung pictures on the walls. Bought plants for the windows. Small things that meant we were staying. That this was home now. Grant started volunteering at the community center. Teaching kids how to fix things. How to use tools. How to build instead of destroy. I watched him with those children, patient and kind, and realized he was trying to save something. Maybe not Brennan. But some other kid who might be heading down a dark path. I started writing. Nothing fancy. Just my story. Everything that happened. The red flags we missed. The warning signs we ignored. I thought maybe if I wrote it down, other parents might read it. Might see themselves. Might act before it was too late. We made friends. Slow at first. Hard to trust anyone after what we'd been through. But gradually, the walls came down. There was Tom and Linda, who ran the coffee shop in town. They'd lost a daughter to addiction. They understood grief. They understood loving someone you couldn't save. There was Pastor James at the small church by the harbor. Not preachy. Just present. He'd sit with us sometimes when the nightmares got bad. Never offered easy answers. Just listened. There was Ruth herself, who turned out to be running from her own demons. An ex-husband who'd put her in the hospital twice before she finally left. We'd compare scars over coffee. Physical and emotional. You think you'll ever feel safe again? She asked me one morning. No, I said honestly. But I think maybe safety isn't the point. Maybe the point is living anyway. Spring came. The ocean warmed slightly. Tourists started arriving. Life continued. Grant's shoulder healed. Not perfectly. He'd always have limited mobility. Always have that reminder of what Brennan did. But he learned to work around it. My nightmares decreased. From every night to most nights. From most nights to sometimes. Small victories. We started a support group. Just us and 2 other couples at first. Parents of adult children who'd harmed them, abused them, stolen from them, manipulated them. Stories that sounded like ours. Stories that made us feel less alone. One woman, Patricia, had a son who'd beaten her and her husband for drug money. Broke her husband's jaw. She'd had him arrested but felt guilty about it every day. "He's my baby," she cried during one meeting. "How do I just give up on him?" "You're not giving up," I said. "You're surviving. There's a difference." The group grew. Word spread in that quiet way small towns work. Soon we had 8 couples. Then 12. All of us damaged. All of us trying to figure out how to love someone and protect yourself from them at the same time. We called it Shattered Families. Not a great name, but honest. 6 months passed. Then a year. The trial date for other charges, Maya's murder, my mother's death, kept getting pushed back. Legal maneuvering. Brennan's lawyer filing motion after motion. But he stayed locked up. That was what mattered. Rodriguez called occasionally. Updates. News about the case. But mostly just checking in. Making sure we were okay. "You're doing better than most people in your situation," he said during one call. "Most couples don't survive something like this together. They blame each other. Fall apart." "We came close," Grant admitted. "We were sitting on our porch, watching sunset over the Atlantic. Phone on speaker between us. There were days we couldn't look at each other. Days we wondered what we could have done differently." "But you stayed together," Rodriguez said. "We did," I confirmed. "Because falling apart meant he won. And we'd already given him too much." Year 2 in Maine brought unexpected joy. Grant proposed again. Same man, same marriage, but we needed something to mark the after. The moment we chose each other despite everything. We got married on the beach. Small ceremony. Tom and Linda as witnesses. Pastor James officiating. Ruth crying in the front row. Our vows were different this time. Not about forever or in sickness and health. About choosing each other every day. About surviving the worst and still finding reasons to love. "I promise to squeeze your hand 3 times," Grant said. "Whenever you need to know I'm here." "I promise to squeeze back 4 times," I said, "to tell you I'm not going anywhere." 4 squeezes. Our new signal. I'm here. I'm real. I choose this. I choose you. We danced on the beach. Ate cake Ruth had made. Watched the stars come out over the ocean. For a few hours, we forgot about Brennan. About trials and prisons and countdown clocks. We were just Diane and Grant. 2 people who'd survived hell and decided to build something beautiful in the aftermath. But reality always returns. Year 3, Detective Rodriguez called with news. The DA struck another deal. All charges. 40 years. No possibility of parole for 35. 40 years. Brennan would be 68 when he got out. We'd be in our 90s. If we were still alive. He took it. Grant asked. He did. Said he was tired of fighting. Wanted it over. Rodriguez paused. For what it's worth, I think prison is breaking him. He's not the same person you knew. He's harder. Angrier. More isolated. Good, part of me thought. Let him suffer like we suffered. But another part, the part that remembered a little boy with crayon flowers on a Mother's Day card, that part grieved. It's really over then, I said. Yeah, Rodriguez confirmed. It's over. We thanked him. Hung up. Sat in silence. How do you feel? Grant asked. Empty, I said. I thought I'd feel relief. Or victory. Something. But I just feel empty. Me too. We held each other on our porch. 2 people who'd spent 3 years rebuilding. Learning to laugh again. Learning to sleep through the night. Learning that survival could transform into something like happiness. 40 years. The number felt impossible. Meaningless. Because the Brennan in prison wasn't the Brennan we'd raised. That person, if he ever existed, was gone. Replaced by someone we didn't know. Someone we'd never know. I want to let him go, I said. Not forgive. Not forget. Just let go. How? Grant asked. I don't know. But carrying him around, the anger, the fear, the what-ifs, it's killing us. Maybe slower than the quarry would have. But still killing us. We started therapy. Real therapy this time. Not just surviving. Actually healing. My therapist, Dr. Sarah, asked me to write a letter to Brennan. Not to send. Just to write. I filled 20 pages. Everything I'd never said. Everything I'd been too afraid to admit. The love I'd felt. The hate I felt now. The questions I'd never get answers to. Why weren't we enough? What did we do to make you hate us? Was any of it real? At the end I wrote, I release you. Not because you deserve it. But because I do. I burned that letter on the beach. Watched the smoke carry my words away. Felt something inside me crack open. Not healed. But starting to heal. Grant wrote his own letter. Burned it next to mine. We stood there watching our pain transform into ash and smoke and finally, nothing. I think about the parents in our support group, I said one evening. We were hosting the monthly meeting. 12 couples now. Stories of addiction, abuse, theft, violence. We're all asking the same question. How do we love someone who hurt us? Do we? Grant asked. Still love them? I thought about it. Really thought. I love who I thought he was. The potential. The possibility. But the actual person? The one who killed my mother and tried to kill us? I shook my head. No. I don't love him. I mourn him. But I don't love him. Me neither, Grant said. Sounding relieved. Like he'd been waiting for permission to stop loving our son. That night at the support group, we shared our breakthrough. The freedom in admitting you don't have to love someone just because they're blood. That family is who chooses you, who protects you, who shows up. Patricia, whose son had broken her husband's jaw, started crying. I thought I was a terrible mother for not loving him anymore. For being relieved when he went to prison. You're not terrible, I told her. You're surviving. And that's brave. Year 4 in Maine brought more healing. We started traveling. Small trips at first. Weekend getaways. Then longer adventures. Places we'd always wanted to see but were too busy raising Brennan. Too busy funding his failures. We went to the Grand Canyon. To New Orleans. To Seattle. We stayed in cheap motels and ate at diners and collected memories that belonged just to us. We made new traditions. Christmas on the beach. New Year's sunrise watching. Anniversary picnics where we renewed our 4-squeeze promise. Life became full again. Not perfect. We still had bad days. Days when a certain smile on a stranger would remind me of Brennan. Days when Grant would wake up reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. But the good days outnumbered the bad. And that was enough. We're in year 5 now. Grant is 66. I'm 57. We're building a life that Brennan can't touch. Can't poison. Can't destroy. He still writes sometimes. Letters from prison. We don't open them. Ruth burns them for us. She understands. 30 years left on his sentence. 30 years we've been given to live. Really live. Despite him. Because of him. In the face of everything he tried to take. There's a quote Pastor James shared with us once. Something about how the same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. It's not about the circumstances. It's about what you're made of. Brennan tried to boil us alive. Tried to break us. Destroy us. And for a while, it worked. We were broken. Shattered. Barely holding together. But we chose to harden instead of soften. To become stronger instead of weaker. To transform trauma into purpose. Our support group now has 27 couples. We're planning to expand to other towns. Other states. Because there are thousands of parents like us. Millions maybe. Suffering in silence. Ashamed. Guilty. Alone. We want them to know they're not alone. That survival is possible. That you can love someone, lose them to their own darkness, and still build a beautiful life. I'm finishing my book. It'll be published next year. Surviving the Unthinkable, When Your Child Becomes Your Enemy. Not a great title, but honest. I hope it helps someone. I hope it saves someone. I hope some parent reads it and recognizes the warning signs we missed and acts before it's too late. Grant jokes that we've become those annoying couples who overcame adversity and won't shut up about it. He's not wrong. But if our story helps one person, just one, then everything we survived meant something. Tonight, we're sitting on our porch. Same spot we've sat 1,000 times. Watching the sun set over the Atlantic. Holding hands. 4 squeezes passing between us. I'm here. I'm real. I choose this. I choose you. Brennan is in a cell somewhere. Angry. Isolated. Counting down days until a freedom he'll never really have. We're here. On a porch in Maine. Free. Together. Building something he can never touch. And maybe that's the greatest revenge. Not hurting him back. But living well despite him. Someone asked me recently if I forgive Brennan. The answer is no. Forgiveness feels like something I owe myself, not him. And I'm not ready. Maybe I never will be. But I've let go. Released the constant fear. The what-ifs. The should-haves. I carry scars, but they're healing. Slowly. Imperfectly. But healing. Grant squeezes my hand now. 4 times. Pulls me close. What are you thinking about? He asks. How far we've come, I say. How many nights I didn't think we'd survive to see another morning. And here we are. 5 years later. Still standing. More than standing, Grant says. Living. He's right. We're not just surviving anymore. We're actually living. Making plans. Having dreams. Believing in futures we weren't sure we'd have. The sun dips below the horizon. Stars start appearing. The ocean keeps its rhythm. The world keeps turning. And we keep choosing each other. Keep choosing life. Keep choosing hope over fear. Because in the end, that's what Brennan couldn't take from us. Our choice. Our agency. Our ability to decide how our story ends. He wrote the middle chapters. The pain. The betrayal. The near destruction. But we're writing the ending. And it's beautiful. Messy and complicated and full of scars. But beautiful. This is our message. To anyone out there surviving their own nightmare. To any parent hiding bruises or missing money or broken hearts because their child became a stranger. You're not alone. You didn't fail. And survival isn't just possible, it's waiting. On the other side of fear. On the other side of shame. On the other side of everything you thought would destroy you. Choose to survive. Choose to live. Choose yourself. Because the best revenge against someone who tried to destroy you is building a life they can never touch. We learned that. In a cabin in Maine. After everything. And now we're sharing it. With you. With anyone who needs to hear it. Your story doesn't end with betrayal. It begins again after it. Different. Scarred. But yours. Write your own ending. Make it beautiful. Make it count. That's what we did. And we're never looking back. Thank you for staying with us through this journey. If this story touched you, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have more powerful stories coming that we can't wait to share with you. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. What moved you, what surprised you, or how this story resonated with your own life. Your words inspire others who read them, and they inspire us to keep bringing you these important stories. Remember, your voice matters. Your story matters. And together, we build a community of strength, survival, and hope. We'll see you in the next one.